For decades, he defined an era of music, luxury, and success. But what happens when the carefully crafted image shatters? What truths lie beneath the surface, revealed not by rumor, but by federal indictments and sworn testimony? Sean Combs, known as Diddy, was a giant in music and business. He launched Bad Boy Records, helped artists rise, and built a vast empire: clothing, drinks, TV. For years, he was a symbol of success, a self-made mogul from a tough background. His life was always in the spotlight, celebrated as a role model and pop culture icon. But in November 2023, everything changed. His ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura Fine, filed a lawsuit accusing him of abuse. The news shocked the public and shattered his carefully crafted image. Soon, more people came forward with similar stories. The media dove into the allegations, and the story of a superstar turned into a story of scandal. The accusations painted a dark picture, and the world watched as his empire began to crumble. What started as one lawsuit quickly spiraled into a major legal crisis. The foundation of his career, reputation, and freedom was suddenly at risk. The legal journey had just begun, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The man who once seemed untouchable now faced the possibility of losing it all. The world waited to see what would happen next. The story of Sean Combs was no longer about success. It was about survival. The legal battle was only beginning, and the outcome was uncertain. The public's perception of Combs shifted overnight. The fall from grace was swift and dramatic. The legal storm was gathering, and there was no turning back. The next chapter would be written in court. The legal troubles for Sean Combs escalated rapidly. Cassie's lawsuit in November 2023 was settled in a day, but it opened the floodgates. More civil lawsuits followed, each with serious allegations. The pattern of accusations drew federal attention. In March 2024, Homeland Security raided Combs' homes in Los Angeles and Miami. The investigation now focused on possible sex trafficking and other federal crimes. The case became criminal, not just civil. By September 2024, a federal grand jury in New York indicted Combs. He was arrested and charged with multiple felonies, accused of running a criminal organization. Combs pleaded not guilty, but the court denied him bail. The trial began in May 2025, drawing global media attention. The courtroom became the stage for the most important battle of his life. Prosecutors prepared to lay out years of alleged criminal activity. The world watched as the trial unfolded, waiting for a verdict that would decide his fate. The stakes were higher than ever. Combs' future hung in the balance. The trial was the culmination of months of investigation and years of rumors. The outcome would change everything for the once untouchable mogul. The legal process was relentless, and the end was nowhere in sight. The trial would determine if Sean Combs would walk free or lose it all. The government charged Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, RICO, a law for organized crime. Prosecutors claimed he ran his business as a criminal enterprise for over a decade. The indictment listed a pattern of crimes: sex trafficking, drug distribution, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and more. They alleged he forced people into sexual acts, moved victims across state lines, and used drugs to control them. One charge involved a Molotov cocktail attack on Kid Cudi's car. Another accused Combs of paying $100,000 to hide a video of an assault. Witness tampering and obstruction of justice were also included. Prosecutors described freak-offs, parties where victims were allegedly coerced and filmed. Drugs like ecstasy and cocaine were allegedly used to manipulate victims. The government painted a picture of a powerful man using violence, threats, and blackmail. The charges carried the threat of decades in prison. The case was about more than celebrity. It was about alleged crimes at the highest level. The prosecution aimed to prove that Combs' empire was built on fear and control. The evidence would have to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. The trial would reveal if the allegations were true, or if Combs could clear his name. The prosecution's case centered on powerful evidence. The most damning was a 2016 hotel video showing Combs assaulting Cassie Ventura Fine. The jury saw him push, drag, and kick her, proof of the violence described in lawsuits. Prosecutors also presented text messages and audio recordings allegedly showing Combs organizing illegal activities. Financial records traced money used for bribery and other crimes. Evidence from the raids, devices, documents was shown in court. Each charge was backed by specific evidence and witness testimony. The prosecution argued these were not isolated incidents, but part of a criminal enterprise. The government's goal was to connect every crime to the central RICO charge. The case was built piece by piece, crime by crime. The jury was asked to see a pattern, not just a series of bad acts. The prosecution's narrative was clear. Combs was the mastermind. The evidence would decide if that story held up. Over 30 witnesses testified for the prosecution. Cassie Ventura Fine's emotional account described years of alleged abuse and control. Another ex-girlfriend, Jane, echoed her story, showing a pattern of behavior. Former employees described the atmosphere around Combs, parties, secrecy, and fear. Homeland Security agents explained the raids and the evidence they found. Their testimony authenticated the prosecution's case. Rapper Kid Cudi testified about the arson attack on his car, directly linking Combs to the crime. The prosecution built its case from every angle: victims, insiders, and law enforcement. The stories were consistent and painted a disturbing picture. The jury heard first-hand accounts of violence, threats, and manipulation. The witnesses' credibility was crucial to the case. The prosecution relied on their stories to prove a pattern of abuse. The testimony was powerful and hard to ignore. The defense, led by Mark Agnifilo, took a different approach. They called no witnesses, focusing instead on challenging the prosecution's case. The defense argued the evidence was weak and the relationships were consensual. They claimed witnesses were motivated by money or personal gain. The defense insisted there was no criminal enterprise. Combs was a legitimate businessman. They tried to separate his business from his personal life, arguing the charges were exaggerated. Cross-examination aimed to undermine the credibility of prosecution witnesses. Combs chose not to testify, relying on his lawyers to create doubt. The defense's strategy was simple: raise enough doubt to prevent a conviction. They reminded the jury that the burden of proof was on the government. The defense argued that the prosecution's story didn't add up. The jury had to decide if the evidence was strong enough to convict. The stakes couldn't be higher for Combs. By June 26, 2025, the trial reached its final act. Both sides made their closing arguments, summarizing weeks of evidence and testimony. The prosecution urged the jury to convict, connecting every piece of evidence to the charges. The defense argued the government hadn't proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. The judge instructed the jury on the law, and deliberations began. The jury now held Combs' fate in their hands: long pays. If convicted, he faced at least 15 years in prison, possibly life. The world waited for the verdict in one of the most high-profile trials in recent memory. The story of Sean Combs, once a tale of triumph, now hinged on a single decision. The outcome would echo far beyond the courtroom. Only the jury could decide what came next. The Diddy Files represent a pivotal moment, shedding light on serious allegations against a powerful figure. The legal process is ongoing, and as new verifiable facts emerge, we will continue to bring them to you. If you found this factual rundown informative, please like this video, comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more true crime content. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're ready for our next exciting video.